that Delta State is beyond producing oil and gas, but also to build companies based on it. He's a son of Ndokwa land right here in Delta, started his education right here in Delta before he went to the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, to graduate top of his class in geology. Started his career in 1980 as a well site geologist with NNPC, grew his career to found Platform Petroleum in 2002, one of Nigeria's 24 marginal field awardees to actually bring its field into production, and of course that field is situated right here in Delta State. By 2010, he went on to co-found Seplat Petroleum and served as its pioneer chief executive officer. He has built into Nigeria's preeminent indigenous oil and gas independent, achieving the great feat of dual listing on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the London Stock Exchange. Today, he serves as founder and executive chairman of the AA Holdings and sits on the board of the NNPC by presidential appointment. Colleagues who know him and have worked with him say he is methodical and meticulous, and he has brought these traits to serve as the chairman of the summit. Please welcome for his remarks our chairman today, Engineer Austin Avuru. You do this one,
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Governor of Delta State and Chief Host, Your Excellency, the Governor of Anambra State, and all distinguished ladies and gentlemen here present. What I will try to do is to situate this summit in the right context and to try to establish that this is not just another talk shop. This is the beginning of a new movement in Delta State. Let me start with a few fundamentals. Around the world, hydrocarbon-rich countries are consciously rebuilding their economies to achieve prosperity after oil. They are using oil, revenues from oil, to build a future economy that will be prosperous even after oil. And this is because oil and gas is a finite and wasting resource. Examples of countries like Norway, 40 years of oil and gas production in the North Sea, has built a sovereign wealth fund that is approaching $3 trillion. All the Arab oil producing countries, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, are doing exactly the same thing. The lesson here is that even here in Nigeria, hydrocarbon-rich states must take lessons from what these countries have done. Subnationals going forward must now intentionally and consciously move beyond dependence on the center. We have to consciously build a subnational economy based on the niche areas of competitive advantage that we have. We have to provide the environment to attract massive and sustained private sector investments through deliberate, well thought out programs that create relative ease of doing business. Let me just highlight a few focus areas here in Delta State. Maritime commerce As the Secretary to the State Government pointed out, we have 4 ports: Warri, Sapele, Koko, and Burutu. 2 interconnected airports. And by design, an interconnecting express road from Warri through Ughelli, Kwale to Asaba that not only connects the 2 airports, but connects our ports to markets. So what are the enablers to ensure that we benefit the most from these maritime endowments? We will have to dredge the waterways, Escravos, Warri, and Benin rivers, to allow bigger vessels into these ports. It sounds very simple, but if you do this, the traffic into each of these 4 ports and across the state will more than quadruple. The road infrastructure connecting these areas, these key areas, must come under continuous maintenance. Continuous maintenance. If the roads become unusable, these assets will start to waste. Agriculture. We have avenues for aquaculture, ranching, large-scale cassava production, and oil palm. But what do we really need to do as a state to enable this? The state will have to build land banks in different clusters. If we have 30,000 hectares of land acquired by the state and made available to investors, it becomes easier for anyone, critical investors in the oil palm space, to come in and lease swaths of these land banks, 3,000 hectares, 5,000 hectares, and before you know it, Delta State becomes a critical producer of oil palm, both for domestic consumption and for exports. But these land banks have to be acquired and made available by the state. It will be the same thing for large-scale cassava cultivation, not just for consumption, but for the production of ethanol. So these are steps to ensure that the things we have, our niche areas of competitive advantage, are exploited to bring in massive private sector investment. The last one I will talk about will be industrial development. We have an industrial park in Kwale. As we speak, we have made pipeline gas available within that park. Once we have anchor tenants, major anchor tenants into the park, it becomes easy to put in embedded power. We don't even need to connect to the grid. Embedded power in modules of 5 megawatts. And once you have electricity and you have pipe gas available in an industrial park, the rest is easy for the private sector to come in and invest massively. We have an additional industrial park in Koko. In addition to pipeline gas being close by, Koko itself is a port. So we can also have food processing centers and agricultural centers once these enablers that I've just mentioned are made available. So what will His Excellency the Governor focus on going forward? He has spent most of his first term providing critical infrastructure for the state to take off. The Secretary to the State Government alludes that the state is very prosperous. No, we are just taking off. So what are the key enablers that His Excellency will focus on? We can't get any of these things done without security. His Excellency will have to invest heavily on security. This state must be safe for all of us to live, work, and prosper. A new security architecture built on technology and intelligence will have to replace these disruptive and largely ineffective checkpoints that we have. We have to move beyond that. Sometimes I give the example of Kigali in Rwanda. You hardly know that there are policemen around, but at every street corner there's somebody talking into a small microphone. It will be clear to you that if you commit a crime, you are only 100 meters away from the next person that will catch you. There are no checkpoints. The infrastructure going forward will have to be targeted. We're not just going to be building roads, connecting villages and towns of well-known people. That's okay. But I'm saying the roads to be built and maintained, we have to seize these clusters that I've spoken about and make sure that movements of goods becomes unimpeded. His Excellency, we have to devote time to producing healthy, well-educated manpower, which means healthcare, education must be emphasized. In the end, when we focus on these enablers, we must have a one-stop shop, very professionally run one-stop shop where investors can knock, pick up all the information they need, go back, whether you're applying for swaths of land or whatever it is, you have a one-stop shop where you be attended to professionally, and you come back into this safe state and invest. That is where His Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, will focus his second term, so that by the time he leaves, we'll all be able to live, work, and prosper in Delta State. Thank you.
I think it deserves a better round of applause. That has been Mr. Austin Avoro, a geologist by training. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor and privilege to invite for his speech the pilot in charge of this flight. Since he boarded, he has aggressively signed a signature across the length and breadth of the state, both in infrastructure and human capital development. His passion is geared towards the non-oil and gas sector in growing the economy, creating an enabling environment for tourism, agriculture, sports, entertainment, micro, small, and medium enterprises to thrive. To widows and orphans, he has given hope in place of despair. To our youths, he has given them tools instead of excuses. To the workforce, a conducive atmosphere to work instead of tension. And now to the private sector, opportunities to tap into the potentials of the state seamlessly without stress. He is God-fearing, prudent, bold, transparent, focused, and sincere. Your Excellencies, it will interest you to know that while he was Mr. Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, he returned the sum of 500 million naira, that is $500 million naira, back to the treasury of unutilized funds at the end of a fiscal year. And as Mr. Governor, he hasn't borrowed a dime from anyone, dead or alive. Yet, his projects as seen from mainland to the creeks. A devout Christian, he still functions as an usher in the church. Please join me in welcome His Excellency, Right Honorable Elder Sharif Oberewole, Governor of Delta State, to address us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, my dear brother and neighbor, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFRO, Governor of Anambra State. Your Excellency, Sir Monday Oyeme, very reliable and reliable Deputy Governor. Your Excellency, Senior Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, the immediate past Governor of Delta State. Distinguished Senator Edward Afinone, and members of the House of Reps are here. You can see Right Honorable Mutu, Right Honorable Victor Wunkolo, Right Honorable Thomas Eritomi. Very respected guests are here. The Minister of Finance, the Minister of State Gas, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Chairman of the Summit, Engineer Austin Avuru, our keynote speaker, daughter of Delta State, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo, GCON. Our guest, Professor Patrick Otieno Lumumba, who is also here, Captain of Industry, members of the organized private sector, and investors. You can see the Ambassador of Brazil is here, the Ambassador of Malaysia, they are all here, top government functionaries, our very royal fathers, stakeholders, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Today marks the crystallization of a journey that began in July and August 2025, when I led a delegation of cabinet members to China and Brazil, respectively, to seek partnerships to explore and enhance the economic and investment opportunities in Delta State. This forum presents us with a golden opportunity to match words with actions, align our expectations with specific goals, and seek those goals with measurable results. It is therefore my honor and pleasure to welcome you all to this Economic and Investment Summit, convened as part of my administration's strategic imperatives for building a robust economy that is adaptable to the physical, social, and technological changes of the 21st century. Let me assure this audience that this summit is not another talk show, like what the chairman said. It showcases our vision and strong will to reposition the state economy and enhance its competitiveness in business. Through this summit, We hope to connect ideas with capital, forge strategic partnerships, and maximize our competitive advantages as a state to build an enduring legacy of wealth and prosperity for the maximum benefit of current and future generations of Deltans and residents in the state. Before I proceed, permit me to specially recognize the Chief Guest of Honor, Your Excellency Senator Shettima GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chairman of the National Economic Council, Mr. Vice President, the government and good people of Delta State are greatly honored to have you here today. I commend your calm disposition, your intellectual acumen, exemplary leadership, patriotic fervor, and commitment to collaborating with sub-national governments such as Delta State for the collective good of our country and its people. Let me use this opportunity to also congratulate you on your renomination as running mate to our President and leader, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. I extend my profound gratitude to our keynote speaker, Dr. Okonjo, GCON, a globally renowned economist and proud daughter of Delta State, for graciously making time in a busy schedule to deliver the keynote address on harnessing our strength and unlocking our potentials in Delta State. I do not doubt our contribution today will enrich the library of thoughts and information on public-private partnerships for sustainable economic growth. Thank you for putting Nigeria on the world stage. We are proud of you. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome my brother governor, who is guest of honor, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFRO, the governor of Anambra State, for this summit. Your Excellency, I thank you for this heartwarming display of solidarity and support. You're always attending my invitations. God will continue to bless you, sir. Also adding color to this event is the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. Thank you for coming. Minister of Livestock Development, Minister of Petroleum Resources, Gas, and the Permanent Secretaries representing the Ministry of Solid Mineral Development and Steel Development. Dear Honorable Ministers, I wish to put on record that your presence here is a great source of encouragement and inspiration. I recognize the presence of members of the diplomatic corps who have come to honor us with their presence. We also appreciate the group from Brazil, led by Roberto Gianetti, and director from Brazil Investment Promotion Commission, APES Brazil, and also delegation of Chinese investors, especially those who are already investing in Cocoa Free Trade Zone, for honoring our invitation. Chairman, they are also an anchor, people already, maybe not probably brief, We have people already coming to invest in that cocoa free trade zone. And I also know that you also discussed with me that you're also interested. You also want to invest there. So thank you very much. We are equally honored by the presence of Engineer Austin Avuru, an accomplished entrepreneur and a major player in the Nigeria oil and gas sector, who is the chairman of this summit. Engineer Avuru is a shining example of vision, courage, and resilience for the younger generation of Nigerians to emulate. And I thank you for agreeing to be the chairman of this summit. I also convey the deep appreciation of the government and good people of Delta State to Professor Patrick Otieno Lumumba. This gifted public speaker has carved a niche for himself through his bold and thought-provoking insights into the peculiar challenges of politics and governance, especially in Africa. Thank you, Professor Lumumba, for your interest in our state and the prosperity and progress of African continent. Today, Delta State, with a population of over 6 million people, blessed with abundant mineral resources, rich in vegetation, fertile soil for agriculture, multiple urban centers, an enlightened populace, improving infrastructure, and a business-friendly climate. Delta State is an investor's heaven with vast opportunities waiting to be exploited and harnessed. The economy is approximately 17 trillion naira, making the state a key driver of national economic growth and development. Delta State connects major markets across Nigeria, serving as a gateway to the southeast and linking directly to Lagos, the nation's business capital. With up to 15 urban cities, this is the only state in Nigeria that you have about 15 urban cities. 15. Its greatest asset remains its vibrant, hard-working people, celebrated at home and abroad for their industry and ingenuity. You can see purposely we invited Okonjo to give the keynote address because it's one of our own that we have exported out to go and do wonder. Austin Avuru is a son of the soil. We made him the chairman. There are so many, if we want to count, we count and count. And I'm proud to be a Deltan. So our goal today is to partner with prospective investors with the overriding objective of building a modern economy that is strongly diversified and therefore can withstand external shocks in line with the policy imperatives of the more agenda of this administration. This administration believes in a data-driven development model that is private sector-led and creates opportunities for our teeming youth population. Our primary goal today is to partner with interested parties to maximize our state competitive advantages, develop the non-oil sectors of the economy, create jobs, accelerate economic development, and achieve sustainable development. In view of the foregoing, our ease of doing business incentives are top-notch, ensuring that prospective investors have the conducive atmosphere to operate seamlessly and profitably. The establishment of the Delta State Ease of Doing Business Council, chaired by me, is one of the major reforms we have undertaken to enhance the ease of doing business in the state. Also worthy of note is the granting of waivers of payment of tenement rates, fees, levies, and other charges to investors for up to 5 years after commencement of business. The agro-industrialization plan of this administration, as contained in the MORE agenda, provides ample opportunities for profitable private sector investments in commercial agriculture and agricultural value chain. Investment opportunities abound in the value chain production of cassava, oil palm, rice, potato, and other cash crops. It is my pleasure to announce that in preparation for this summit, over 12,000 hectares of farmland have been earmarked for agricultural development for prospective investors. And in addition, Delta State has a coastline of 163 kilometers suitable for development of a thriving marine economy. As one of Nigeria's leading oil and gas producing states, Delta State possesses abundant natural gas reserves alongside substantial renewable energy resources, creating a strong foundation for a diversified energy economy. Investment opportunities abound in gas-fired power plants, embedded and captive power systems, solar farms, mini-grids, biomass and waste-to-energy projects, hydro power, energy storage solutions, rural electrification, and the manufacturing and assembling of renewable energy components to support existing and potential enterprises in the state. It is also pertinent to point out that this government has prioritized sound public financial management anchored on careful budgeting, fiscal discipline, judicious allocation of resources, transparency, and accountability, matched with excellent service delivery. Hence, despite the huge investment in improving public infrastructure, we have not borrowed a kobo from any bank, and we will not intend to borrow. Underscoring our commitment to fiscal discipline and prudent financial management. What this means is that prospective investors are coming to a state that is financially stable and provides an enabling environment for them to operate without let or hindrance. In line with the fourth pillar of the MORE agenda, which the enhanced peace and security, we have strengthened the security architecture in Delta State. And that's why we brought you to become the chairman, so that you know what we are doing. So that you don't look like if you are those in diaspora. This state, the security agencies in the state have been very effective in combating crime and criminality, keeping our state safe and secure. Indeed, Our investment in the security sectors have boosted morale among security personnel and local communities, improved trust between security forces and residents, and created a safer environment for economic and social activities. It might interest you to know that Delta State was adjudged the safest state for oil and gas investment in Nigeria in 2024 by the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources. This is an overwhelming vote of confidence in the state as an investor's haven. Mr. Vice President, as I conclude my address, I am pleased to announce that the government has set aside $100 million, approximately $133,800,000,000 as viability gap funding to de-risk new investments in the states. This one we are not borrow. We are not going to borrow the money. The money is there. This is a practical demonstration of our total commitment to ensuring that the agreements reached at this summit are executed without delay. As stated at the beginning of this speech, this summit is not a talk show. We are marching west with action. It is my earnest expectation that this marks the beginning of enduring strategic partnerships that will galvanize the massive industrialization of Delta States. Finally, I want to thank Mr. President, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFRO, the Vice President, Senator Shettima, GCN, and their entire team for constantly working hard to bring the development of democracy to all Nigerians. I thank Your Excellency, my brother Governor Soludo, very dear honorable ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and other eminent invitees for honoring us with your esteemed presence. My deep appreciation also goes to our distinguished guests, especially our friends from Brazil and China, for their interest in the development and progress of Delta State. Your Excellency, the Vice President, this is Delta State. We are ready. The state is peaceful for investment, and people are ready. You look around, you see a lot of people are ready. We have to close our portal. When we saw the registration getting to 4,000, we have to close it. We are ready. We cannot be depending only on oil. Oil has made us proud as a state, but we need to diversify, and that is the reason we have decided to organize this summit. The journey that we took to Brazil is working well. The China one is working well. The investors are here, and it is my belief that at the end of this summit, Delta State will smile and will be able to do things, do the needful by the grace of God. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Accountability
It's the way they set it up.
It's simple. There's a 1 million metric ton shortfall in thermal production, and that makes it strategic for any investors to invest in Okonjo. Economic growth and vision are products of sustained thinking, a vision that retains possibility of infrastructure. Economies are being reshaped even as markets evolve.
No. Oyedele is yes, he is.
At a defining moment in Nigeria's economic journey, what we are seeing coming out of the Delta, we can rest assured that because the people can travel with the moment and get to their destination. Because duty demands it, and the people deserve it.
Today, Delta State stands at the threshold of a new era, inviting investors, innovators, entrepreneurs, and development partners to become part of one of Africa's most compelling investment destinations. The question is simple: why Delta? As Nigeria's leading oil-producing state, Delta remains one of the nation's foremost economic engines. Its vast hydrocarbon resources provide opportunities across the entire energy value chain, from exploration and production to refining, petrochemicals, gas processing, manufacturing, and energy services. Beyond its natural wealth lies an even greater resource: its people. Spread across more than 18,000 square kilometers of largely fertile land is a vibrant and culturally diverse population of nearly 7 million people. More than half are young, energetic, digitally connected, and increasingly equipped with the skills to compete in a knowledge-driven global economy. This summit provides a platform to find and define purpose. It's the ideal opportunity. In all of these, Delta has not lost sight of its traditional advantage. Its fertile soil, abundant waterways, and favorable climate make it one of Nigeria's most promising agricultural destinations. From cassava and oil palm to aquaculture, food processing, packaging, storage, and export, opportunities exist across the entire agricultural value chain. As demand continues to rise, so too does the potential for sustainable agribusiness investment. Strategically positioned along the banks of the River Niger, Delta State serves as a commercial bridge connecting Nigeria's southwest and southeast, while also providing direct access to the Niger Delta and the Atlantic Ocean. Its extensive inland waterways and over 160 kilometers of coastline along the Bight of Benin position the state as a natural hub for maritime commerce, logistics, manufacturing, and the emerging blue economy. Complementing these advantages are two airports that connect Delta to domestic and international markets, alongside the ports of Warri, Sapele, Koko, and Burutu, critical assets supporting trade, industry, and regional integration. The future belongs to economies that invest in people. Across Delta State, investments in education, healthcare, digital innovation, vocational training, and entrepreneurship are preparing a workforce equipped for the industries of tomorrow. A skilled workforce, a competitive economy, a future built on knowledge. Strong institutions inspire investor confidence. Through the Delta State Investment Development Agency and the Ease of Doing Business Council, the government continues to simplify investment procedures, strengthen public-private partnerships, and improve the overall business environment.
You know what it means when the state issues CFO and you're able to access the bank loan, that means the state and some CFO. CFO we got here is so valued a lot that we actually use it to access the bank loan.
We started with 84 rooms and now we have expanded from 84 to 140 rooms with other apartments. Anybody that wants to come to Asaba to invest and follow what we are doing, we do well. We already have a government that have put infrastructure, that have put reform that's going to protect us. That's the confidence we have.
Few projects better illustrate Delta's industrial ambition than the Delta Special Economic Zone, which oversees the Cocoa and Kwale Free Trade Zones. The Kwale Free Trade Zone, strategically located in Kwale and sitting atop vast natural gas reserves, offers industries access to reliable energy, the lowest priced comparative gas cost in Nigeria, overall competitive operating costs, and abundant raw materials. With attractive fiscal incentives and significant opportunities across manufacturing, petrochemicals, logistics, and export-oriented industries, the Free Trade Zone is rapidly emerging as one of West Africa's most promising industrial corridors.
As of today, 215 trillion natural gas reserve, Nigeria. That placed Nigeria on number 10 in the global game. Now this 215 trillion gas reserve, 80 trillion is in Delta. And this 80 trillion that is in Delta, 60% of it is in Kwale Free Trade Zone with a good business plan and good execution. You get your investment now.
A catalyst expected to generate over 50,000 direct and indirect jobs while accelerating industrialization across the region. That Delta is ready for business can only be seen through its ₦1 billion revolving loan domiciled in the Bank of Industry (BOI) for businesses to access. This policy has made Delta a favorable investment destination for SMEs. The vision is central to Delta's growth as SMEs are the foundation of modern commerce and account for over 90% of businesses globally, while providing more than 70% of all employment. The revolving loan is offered at single-digit interest rates, less than 10%. Business owners can access between 20 million and 50 million naira for business expansion and working capital.
There will be no better place to invest your money than Delta State. Before now, we used to be mainly into the oil and gas, that we have to diversify our source of income to support the food security agenda.
Economic growth flourishes where confidence exists. Beyond infrastructure, investors seek security, stability, transparency, and the rule of law. Through sustained investments in security architecture and continued judicial reforms, Delta State is strengthening investor confidence by ensuring that investments are protected, contracts respected, and businesses operate within a predictable legal framework.
I'm a farmer, and I can be in my farm up to 11 o'clock in the night, and I will still drive home, no escort. Delta State is one of the safest states in Nigeria.
The opportunities extend even further. tourism and hospitality remain exciting frontiers for investment, offering enormous potential across ecotourism, cultural heritage, entertainment, sports, and leisure. The creative economy is expanding. Innovation is accelerating. New industries continue to emerge. The possibilities are immense. No economy achieves greatness in isolation. Progress is built through partnerships. Growth is sustained through investment. Prosperity is created through shared purpose. Delta State enters this summit with clear advantages, practical opportunities, and an unwavering commitment to sustainable economic transformation. For investors, development partners, financial institutions, and entrepreneurs, the invitation is simple. Move beyond interest, embrace partnership, turn opportunity into enterprise, enterprise into prosperity, and prosperity into a lasting impact. Harnessing our strength, unlocking our potential. Welcome to the Delta State Economic and Investment Summit 2026.
His Excellency the Governor informed us during his speech that they had to shut down the portal when number of registrations appeared to exceed 4,000. Listening to the applause you've just given to that documentary, it doesn't appear that that's the applause from over 4,000 people in this hall. And I think we can even do better. Only the Chinese and the Brazilians are applauding now. Delta people, Nigerians, are you here with us? If you're here, make some noise. Let's get some energy going. Yep, that's the way it should go. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Your Excellency, the Vice President, we thank you. Also, because of you, we have been reliably informed that you need to go and attend to national matters by attending the NEC meeting today. I hope that that is correct. So that being the case, we're having to speed up things a little bit. So please advance notice and apology to all who will be speaking after now. We plead with you to keep your presentations here to no more than 2 minutes. And I can also report that the only person who has indicated that they will not abide by the 2-minute timeline we're giving, he's already smiling, is the Honorable Minister of Finance. So, Your Excellency the Governor, I think we will delay his speaking until you persuade him that he has to abide by the 2-minute time limit. Do I have your permission on that, sir? Fantastic. So whilst I give them time to consult, let me quickly invite the Managing Director of NDDC, Chief Samuel Obuku, PhD. If you're here, please come forward now and set the tone for our goodwill messages. Remember, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is Senator Kashim Shettima, and also the presidential running mate of the All Progressive Congress, Your Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, Right Honorable Elder Sheriff Francis Obrowori, the Governor of Anambra State, His Excellency Chukwuma Soludo, members of the National Assembly, ministers, please permit me to rest on a well-established protocol, just as we are asked to make sure we speed up our goodwill message. Your Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, I want to say thank you for convoking this Economic and Investment Summit. The summit is not only meant to serve Delta State, but it is meant to serve Nigeria and the Niger Delta. because I believe this is a prelude among your colleagues, especially in the region. And this is the first I am attending, so I have to say thank you for setting the pace. I can also confirm that the governor is not only just convoking this summit for the sake of gathering people to deliberate on the potentials in Delta State, but I can also confirm that the governor is also ready. Because the governor, while he has been on the saddle, has actually deepened the infrastructural development in Delta State in preparation for investors. So I can assure all investors that are here that feel free to come and invest in Delta State. Feel free to come and invest in the Niger Delta, because the Niger Delta right now is the safest part of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Samuel Obuku, PhD, Managing Director, NDDC. Let me quickly invite for his own goodwill message, Engineer Jamiu Ibrahim, MNI, OON, National President of NASIMA and Chairman of the Organized Private Sector of Nigeria. Engineer Jamiu Ibrahim, thank you, sir. 2 minutes, please bear with us. How are you, sir?
2 minutes. Your Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the great promoter and supporter of the organized private sector, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborowori, Executive Governor of Delta State. Your Excellency, I practice all through the night to be able to say and pronounce your name correctly. I hope I did not damage it. Your Excellency, the Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, Honorable Ministers who are here, please, I apologize that because of time, I will not be able to call you individually. But let me recognize the chairman of today's occasion, Engineer Austin Avuro, a friend, a classmate, and a founder of Seplat, one of the most successful oil and gas companies in Nigeria. Let me recognize our mother, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Okonjo, GCON, will recognize you. And let me also recognize all of you who are present and permit me to recognize what the Master of Ceremony has described as captains of industry, but we would like to say generals of industry, because after 25 years of working hard to promote industry, you have been promoted since last year. Leaders of the organized private sector, I recognize all the members of NASIMA and DASIMA who are present. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, permit me to commend His Excellency, the Governor, for the Summit and the Summit Planning Committee for convening this timely and strategic gathering at a time when subnational competitiveness is increasingly becoming the driving force behind national economic transformation. This summit therefore demonstrates Delta State's commitment to positioning itself as a preferred destination for investment, enterprise, and sustainable development. I would like to leave one challenge to His Excellency the Governor, that please look beyond Nigeria and try to compete with countries outside Nigeria. One of the key words that we'd like to add in closing In closing, it's a one-word, one enterprise, labor-intensive village enterprises to take care of the teeming population for inclusive growth, in our country. But permit me, Your Excellency, as the apex body representing chambers of commerce across Nigeria, NASIMA remains committed to working with the federal government, state governments, and development partners. But I have an appeal for Your Excellency, which I would like to put before you. Permit me to draw your attention to an issue that is of considerable importance to the organized private sector in Delta State. We humbly appeal to your administration to reinforce its partnership with organized private sector by granting the Delta Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, DASIMA, the exclusive use and uninterrupted use of the DASIMA City Chambers building for your kind permission, sir. On behalf of NASIMA, therefore, in closing, the organized private sector of Nigeria, I congratulate the government and the good people of Delta State on this important initiative. We wish the summit fruitful deliberations and every success in advancing a more prosperous, competitive, and investment-friendly Delta State, one that is truly harnessing its strength and unlocking its potential. I want to thank you all. May God bless Delta State. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and may God bless and protect our federal and defense forces. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. And this way, sir. Okay. Thank you very much, Engineer Jamiu, for your very hearty comments. Please would like to inform all others who are coming up here, kindly do us the favor and not repeat the protocols. Please kindly do us the favor not repeating the protocols. There's no need. We already know who's here and everyone has been appropriately recognized. Before I bring up the next speaker, let me quickly recognize the Executive Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Presidential Initiative on Compressed and Natural Gas and Electric Vehicles, PICNG and EV. His name is Barrister Ishmael Ahmed, OON. Where is he? Barrister Ishmael? You need to rise to your feet, yes? Okay, maybe you should come here. They need to see you. I know the Vice President knows you already. Just come, let's see you and applaud you. This initiative, presidential initiative, has donated 5 CNG buses to Delta State as a startup, and they have promised that more will follow. And that is the gentleman who is at the head of the Presidential Initiative on Compressed and Natural Gas and Electric Vehicles, Barrister Ishmael Ahmed, OON. Thank you very much. All Deltans appreciate you for what you have done and what is to follow. Let me therefore quickly, you have been told that I think August last year, our very hard-working governor was on a tour of many countries, and Brazil was one of those countries. And to underscore the importance, the Brazilian ambassador to Nigeria, His Excellency Carlos Jose Garcete, is here with us this afternoon. We would like to invite His Excellency to come forward and deliver his goodwill message. Please, a round of applause for the Brazilian ambassador to Nigeria. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. Mr. Vice President, distinguished guests, all protocol observed, I'll start my speech. Well, I'd like to make a few remarks on the bilateral relations. Brazil does not see Nigeria solely as a market for its exports. We are both developing countries and share a number of common objectives. Brazil's exports to Nigeria are primarily agricultural products, of which raw sugar is the most significant. As you are aware, Nigeria also buys aircrafts from Embraer, the Brazilian manufacturer. The last one was delivered to Air Peace a few weeks ago. Brazil is a major importer of fertilizers from Nigeria. In fact, depending on the month, Brazil is the largest importer of Nigerian non-oil products in the world. Bilateral trade between Brazil and Nigeria increased 36% in the last 2 years. We see bilateral trade as a tool for development of both Nigeria and Brazil, and we're happy to see now products of higher added value being traded. Brazil is supporting Nigeria's agricultural development. Last year, both countries signed a $1 billion agreement to boost agriculture and food security, the green imperative. The purpose is to enable the acquisition of farming equipment, but also to provide training and to establish services centers across the country. Likewise, the project incorporates technical assistance and technology transfer, drawing on the experience accumulated by Brazil, notably by Embrapa over the last 5 decades. We are experiencing the most productive period in our bilateral relations. President Tinubu already visited Brazil 3 times. The Vice President of Brazil, Geraldo Alckmin, visited Abuja last year to meet Vice President Shettima. The Vice President Shettima visited Brazil last year to participate in COP30, which was held in Belém, in the heart of Amazon region. Ministerial visits have become more frequent and are bearing tangible fruits. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Brazil was in Abuja in March last year, and his Nigerian counterpart visited Brazil 3 times. Last month, the Minister of Agriculture of Brazil, Mr. André de Paula, visited Abuja and met with Vice President Shettima and the Minister of Agriculture, Abubakar Chiari. The Trade Promotion Agency of Brazil, APEX, led a groundbreaking mission to Abuja last year, bringing together 60 representatives of companies from 43 economic sectors. We're pleased to see the private sector building upon governmental initiatives and agreements. To mention just one example, Air Peace was recently granted authorization to operate commercial flights to Brazil. Next time, the Brazilian delegation coming to Nigeria, instead of 24 hours, they may arrive in only 7 hours. After 32 years, Brazil and Nigeria will be connected again. Concluding my remarks, I'd like to wish Delta State Economic Investment Summit participants a very successful and productive interaction. I hope this forum will provide a platform for deepening the cooperation between our countries in matters of great social and economic importance. I'm also glad to see the interest of our private sector in doing business across the Atlantic, exploring new market opportunities, and building of the agreements of both countries have celebrated. Thank you very much.
A loud appreciation to His Excellency, the Ambassador of Brazil to Nigeria. Thank you so much, sir, for your kind intervention. Allow me now bring up the gentleman who is the architect behind some of the most significant tax and fiscal reforms in Nigeria in recent times. Please welcome the Honorable Minister of the Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, who will be speaking for 2.5 minutes. Please welcome Professor Taiwo Oyedele, very resoundingly, as he makes his way to stage. It's economical. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, Your Excellencies, Governors, Ministers, Senators, special guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please, I need 5 minutes. Okay, thank you, Your Excellency. Looking closely at the theme of this summit, harnessing our strengths, unlocking our potentials, I'm convinced that every word in that phrase was chosen with purpose. It does not say discovering strengths, because Delta State's strengths are not hidden. They are carved into your map, flowing through your waters, resting in your soul, and burning brightly in the ingenuity of your people. So it says harnessing. Then it doesn't say wishing for potentials. It says unlocking them. A bold declaration that the key already exists and that Delta State possesses the courage and readiness to turn the key. That distinction matters because it mirrors the exact journey Nigeria has undertaken as a nation. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office, the administration confronted distortion head-on. Mr. President refused to hide behind fiscal illusions. He unified a fractured foreign exchange market, removed a crushing fuel subsidy, reclaiming billions of dollars that once vanished into artificial pricing so they could be invested into hospitals, schools, and in constructing roads. He restored disciplinary monetary policy by ending the excessive printing of money, opaque and multiple windows of exchange rates. And through comprehensive tax reform, we widened the tax base while lifting the heavy burden off the shoulders of businesses, especially small businesses. State and local government now receive unprecedented revenues, enabling them to pay salaries on time, settle pension arrears, while investing in human development and building transformative infrastructure. I share these milestones not to declare victory, but to state a profound truth that macroeconomic stability is the job of the federal government, and that foundation has been laid. The center secures economic stability, the state converts stability into shared prosperity, and local government deliver it as a tangible, higher standard of living for every family. That division of labor is where true fiscal restructuring takes place. Abuja can stabilize a currency, but Abuja cannot operate a processing plant in Ughelli. Abuja cannot address land title matters in Warri, nor can it identify the Isoko farmer who needs an off-taker today. Those decisions, the ones that turn abstract statistics into jobs, thriving factories, and profitable market stalls, happen right here. They are driven by leadership that knows this terrain, its people, and its true potential. Few states in our nation carry debtors' extraordinary gifts. You hold the hydrocarbon wealth that has powered Nigeria for generations. Your rivers and ocean coastlines make you a true titan of the blue economy. Your land is fertile. Your vast mineral wealth rests beneath your soil, waiting for capital to bring it to life. Yet, raw endowment has never been the ultimate differentiator. Execution is. Capital has no regional sentiments and no political loyalty. Capital goes where it's welcome and stays where it is protected. To the investors and captains of industry in the room, you are not being asked to take a leap of faith on unproven promises. The macroeconomic turnaround is documented and is real. The question before you today is practical and immediate. Whether you will put your money and your investments where there is visionary state leadership that meets economic opportunity here in Delta states. The federal government is delivering on its commitment at the center. Delta State is proving its commitment here today. Now I call upon the entrepreneurs and investors in this room to complete the circuit so that the strategy we discussed today become the shared prosperity felt in every Delta home tomorrow. Thank you very much. I wish you a transformative and highly successful summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
I need a call.
Thank you, Professor Taiwo Oyedele. Judiciously spent less than 5 minutes encouraging investors to not only invest in Delta State for the sake of investing, it will transform the entire nation from homes and households to businesses and enterprises. Once again, please appreciate the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy. It is my joy and my delight to bring to stage this son of Onitsha Ukwu in Aniocha North, one of Africa's most consequential investors, Chairman of the United Bank of Africa, Chairman of Transcorp Group, the founder and Chairman of Heirs Holdings, with interests in banking, power, energy, hospitality across the continent. Through his foundation has committed over $100 million to the training and funding of entrepreneurs across all 54 African nations, a philosophy he calls African capitalism in action. Please welcome the trailblazing Tony Elumelu, CFR, as he brings to us his 2 minutes of goodwill at the Delta State Economic and Investment Summit 2026. Keep the music playing. He's coming in the TOE way. Ladies and gentlemen, keep the applause louder as he makes his way to stage.
One more minute. Anyway, I warned us not to recognize anyone, but our Vice President is here. And I think Mr. Vice President's second state is Delta State. Thank you for coming. I like to congratulate our governor, hardworking governor, energetic and young, for what he is doing to help develop our state. On TV, social media, I watch and I see so many things happening in Delta, and it makes me very proud to be a son of the state. I see people who are building estates in Delta State. One day I was watching one, I said, where is this? And later I saw Asabas. This is in Delta State. Your Excellency, well done. All I want to say is Delta is very safe for investment, hospitable, and very receptive to people. As a group, our group, one of the things we do in our group, we're into power generation and power distribution. Everything we discuss here needs to be powered. We need to provide electricity to make sure it works. In Delta State, we have a 1,000 installed electricity generating capacity at Whaley. They call Transcorp Power Whaley. Unfortunately, we do about 500 megawatts a day because of some constraint, gas issues and evacuation issue. But Mr. Governor, we would like to discuss with you to see how we can help or partner with you with Delta State to make electricity generation and distribution to the last home in Delta State affordable and possible. I believe that that will help us to truly create employment, alleviate poverty, and industrialize our state. So that will be our group's contribution to what you're doing here. Thank you for what you're doing in Delta State. Congratulations, and thanks to everyone for coming to Delta State. Thank you.
That's Mr. Tony Elumelu, the man that developed the concept of Afrik capitalism. Thank you very much. I'd like to also welcome here very quickly the Managing Director of the Southeast Development Commission, Mr. Mark Okoye. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today, Delta State speaks with one clear message. Delta is open for business. The summit is more than an event. It is a statement of confidence, a declaration of interest, a declaration of readiness, an invitation to innovators, entrepreneurs, and business people. That's why we'll take a few attestations, and we'll kick off now with the owner of Mosra Energy, Mr. Ramos Olukayode. The rule of 2 minutes continues, even with the attestation. Mr. Ramos Olukayode. Okay. Let's clear the path for him, please. Let's clear the path for him. And then Chief Theodore Malu, you'll be the next person. And then finally, Julius Rone. I welcome you.
Your Excellencies, my brothers, all protocols observed.
In business, we often say capital is courageous, but it's never careless. Investors commit their resources where they find vision, stability, true partnership, and confidence. We have proven coal reserves exceeding 200 million tons in Delta State alone. In Obonkpa, Ugboba, Ukuzu, and Ugodu. And we are already mining. The Delta State is safe for our mining operations. The cement companies rely on us for their coal supply. Delta State has the largest reserve of coal in Nigeria. Our partnership with the Delta State government to develop 600 megawatts mine-mouth power plant in Obonkpa and the proposed energy and industrial special economic zone in Aniocha is a demonstration of what is possible when government and private enterprise work together with a shared vision. But our ambition goes far beyond building a power plant. Let me put this into perspective. 200 million tons of proven coal reserve in Delta State is not just a geology. It represents over 30 years of continuous, guaranteed baseload power. That is enough continuous electricity to fuel industrial manufacturing. Manufacturing, technology hubs, and processing plants right here in Delta soil without interruption. We are not just lighting up a grid. Under the More agenda, we are anchoring West Africa's next industrial powerhouse. To my fellow investors, my message is simple. The best time to invest is before everyone else discovers the opportunity. And that time is now. Your Excellency, thank you for your leadership, your openness to partnership, and your commitment to building a more prosperous Delta State. God bless Delta State and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And God bless you too. Thank you very much. Thank you. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, Chief Theodore Omalu, Falkland Limited, is next. You're welcome. No, two.
Distinguished guests, good morning, everybody. It is a great pleasure and privilege to be here today at this prestigious Delta State Economic and Investment Summit. I sincerely appreciate the Delta State government for creating this platform where government, investors, and the private sector can come together to unlock the enormous potential of this great state. The theme of this summit, harnessing our strength and unlocking our potentials for accelerated economic development, resonates deeply with us because our project Niger City is, in many ways, a practical expression of that vision. We are harnessing the potential of River Niger and the Asaba waterfront to create land, new opportunities, new jobs, and a new economic frontier for Delta State. Our company is proud to be undertaking Niger City, an ambitious private land reclamation and waterfront development project along Asaba waterfront. Our vision is to transform underutilized riverfront wetlands into a modern, well-planned economic and urban district that will attract investment, create jobs, expand housing opportunities, and contribute meaningfully to the economic transformation of Delta State. We have had one dredger operating on this project for approximately 2 years to demonstrate our confidence in Delta State, our confidence in the future of Asaba, and our belief in the long-term potential of Niger City. We have also invested in an additional modern dredger to accelerate reclamation process. This is not simply an investment in equipment. It is an investment in a vision, an investment in Delta State, and an investment in the future. When fully developed, we envision Niger City as a landmark waterfront development supporting residential communities, commercial activities, tourism, hospitality, logistics, and other economic opportunities. Our confidence in undertaking a project of this magnitude also comes from experience. We previously participated in the development of Orange Island in Lagos Lagoon, a 50-hectare land reclamation project. Today, we are bringing that experience, knowledge, and determination to Delta State. I would like to express our profound appreciation to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Delta State, for his visionary leadership and commitment to creating an investment-friendly environment. I wish to also specially recognize the Secretary to the State Government for all his support. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of Niger City is ultimately a story of partnership. Government provides an enabling environment. The private sector brings capital, expertise, innovation, and execution. Communities provide partnership and local support, and together we create sustainable economic value. To my fellow investors, I say, take a serious look at Delta State. The opportunities are enormous. Our experience with Niger City has reinforced our belief that when government creates the right environment and investors commit capital and expertise and perseverance, extraordinary things happen. This is why we remain committed to Delta State. We are committed to investing. We are committed to creating employment. We are committed to working with communities, and we are committed to contributing to the community transformation of this great state. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's how much he loves Delta State as an investor. We appreciate you. Finally, for attestations, let me welcome here Julius Rone, OFR, the GMD of UTM FLNG Limited. Julius Rone. Thank you. Your strike tells me that you are going to do 2 minutes. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, the Governor of Delta State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what I have to say is that Delta State is one of the states that believe in contract sanctity. The Governor and the state believe in investment. We are developing Nigerian first floating LNG. Delta State's government in 2022 took 8% at 42 billion. Today, that investment is over 200 billion naira. And by the time we come on stream in 2030, Delta will host the headquarters in Warri of the UTM FLNG. That is not all. Delta will continuously be receiving a lot of dividend from this project. But what is important for us as an investor is the sanctity of contract. This contract was signed in 2022 with the then governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. But when the current administration came, every bit of that contract was respected. So as an entrepreneur, what is important is to see that contract is respected, irrespective is managing the state. And Your Excellency, you have proven that you are a disciplined governor. You are a governor who believes in development of the state and people. And that's why we are here to continuously to support the state in whatever way we can. I want to thank you, and we wish you very well for this great success for this summit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and apologies to everyone for the way we have stampeded you through your goodwill messages. It's due to factors beyond our control. Let me very quickly, first of all, recognize and salute the Managing Director, CEO of the Rural Electrification Agency, Dr. Abba Aliyu. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. The Managing Director, Renaissance, is also here. The Managing Director, or Deputy Managing Director, Oando, is here also with us. At this juncture, I would like to salute all of the bank CEOs who are here: Zenith Bank, Globus Bank, Premium Bank, Access Bank. We also have in the house the Managing Director of Tantita Services, and also we have the MD of Manitoba. We would like to direct this especially to the Vice Presidency, Our Excellency. The state wants to appreciate you for appointing one of our own, our son, Shegun Ochuko Obayendo, as your technical advisor on transportation, logistics, and innovation. Thank you very, very much, sir. We shall count the number of people who have given you that applause so that many more appointments from Delta will follow in your office. Thank you, sir. So let me bring you, yes now, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. Please permit me, I will be very biased right now. Before I bring our Doyen, who is our keynote speaker, I would like to specially recognize some trailblazing women that I see with my eye. Dr. Melji, the Group Managing Director of Zenith Bank, you're welcome, ma'am. Sitting very close to her is the Managing Director of FCMB. I see her, Mrs. Yemisi Edun, welcome. Representing the Managing Director of Fidelity Bank, Dr. Nneka Onyalipe, is the Executive Director South. Please welcome Mrs. Pamela Shodipo as she's sitting here. It is my joy to bring up our keynote speaker at the Delta State Economic Investment Summit 2026, the 7th Director General of the World Trade Organization, the first African and the first woman to hold this office in the entire history of the WTO, previously served 2 terms as the Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, served as Managing Director of the World Bank. She led negotiations that wiped out $18 billion of Nigeria's debt and an overall external debt reduction of over $30 billion. She is recognized as one of the most influential humans alive today. She was nicknamed Okonjo Wahala because she brought Wahala to inefficiency in the economy. She brought Wahala to corruption. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this global institution in human form, role model to men and women across the globe. She was born right here in Ogwashuku, and she has not forgotten her roots. She's not here as a visiting dignitary. She is home as a daughter of the soil. Please join me as I welcome and I receive my role model, your role model, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, our keynote speaker today, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, GCON.
The Emperor, the Conqueror, the Champion, the Lion is here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful introduction and welcome, much more than I deserve. I just want to alert you that as the keynote speaker, my speech is 20 minutes. So you'll be ready. I was given that time. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, thank you for being here, for taking the time to come to Delta State. Your Excellency, Right Honorable Elder, I always wonder when I see that, because you're younger. Sheriff Oborewori, the governor, executive governor of Delta State, one of my really favorite people because he's action-oriented. Your Excellency, Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, so nice to see you here. Your Excellency, Samonde Onyeme, Deputy Governor, Delta State. Your Excellency, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, immediate past Governor of Delta State. Good to see you. Distinguished senators and members of the House of Reps, honorable ministers, especially the Minister of Finance, very nice to see you, one of my successors. Honorable commissioners of Delta State, the Secretary to the State Government, the Chairman of the occasion, Engineer Austin Avuru, very nice of you to do this. And our royal fathers, very nice to see all of you. I think just give me half a minute to recognize one special royal father, who is my own younger brother, His Majesty, the Obi of Ogwashiukwu, Obi Ifechukwude Chukwuka Okonjo, and his Chief of Staff, my younger brother, Prince Onyema Okonjo. They came here to accompany me. Please give them a round of applause. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, it's always a joy to be back home in Delta State. And I brought with me one other honored Deltan. His name is Dr. Bright Okogu from Abraka, the former Director General of the Budget of the Federation, who is now the Chief of Staff of the WTO. I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to contribute to this conversation about realizing the development ambitions of Deltans. But as I rejoice with you, Your Excellency, I have to be very careful because you said I'm an export. So I've been exported to the WTO, but I was exported to Abia State first. And I have to acknowledge my husbands, because when they hear you, maybe Governor Alex Oti will lock me out of Abia State and I won't be able to go home. So I also want to salute my husbands in Abia State. I thank His Excellency the Governor of Delta State and the organizers of this summit for this invitation. I want to congratulate you, Excellency, on the development strides that you have been taking. He and I are often in touch. He's always WhatsApping me with one thing or the other. And the reason I came is because you take action. The fund you just announced of $100 million to de-risk investment is exactly the kind of things that we need. I also want to salute the development partners, captains of industry that are here, the entrepreneurs, the women entrepreneurs in particular, and the youth. And to thank the investors, especially the ambassador of Brazil and the delegation from Brazil, Malaysia, China, and others. What I'm going to do today in this keynote speech, which I've entitled The State as Harnessing Our Strengths and Unlocking Our Potentials for Economic Development. What I want to do is quickly look at the state of the world economy and global trade, not just because I'm DG of the WTO, but because it is the broadest context within which Delta State will pursue its goals. You all know that these are difficult times for the world and for global trade. On a daily basis, as far as trade is concerned, I face challenges on what is happening with global trade rules. The rules-based system that has framed global commerce for the past 80 years, since the end of the Second World War, is today under unprecedented strain. Unilateral tariff actions and rising geopolitical tensions have unsettled the economic environment within which countries and companies must make plans. Rapid technological change and climate shocks are further sources of pressure. And yet, despite all of these disruptions, trade and the trading system have shown remarkable resilience, contributing to the wider resilience of the global economy. The value of global goods and services trade last year was a record $34.65 trillion. In volume terms, world merchandise trade grew by 4.6% in 2025, with surging demand for AI-related goods more than compensating for weaknesses linked to tariff increases and trade policy uncertainty. African merchandise export volumes grew by 10.3%, driven by minerals, metals, fuels, and agricultural products like cocoa. Global services trade grew by 5.3% and by nearly 6% for digitally delivered services trade. The takeaway from all of these numbers is that within the global disruption, there is a stable core, and that despite all the tough headlines that you keep seeing, there are opportunities for Delta State, for Nigeria, and for Africa. That's the case I want to make to you today. These opportunities were not available even 10 or 15 years ago. The question to me is whether we will move to seize these opportunities or whether the opportunities will go elsewhere. In recent years, particularly since the COVID-19 pandemic, it has become clear that a world economy designed for interdependence is now marked by some troubling overdependencies. Overdependence on the US for digital services and final market demand, overdependence on China for critical minerals, and the weaponization of some of these overdependencies is swelling anxiety, resentment, and a desire for diversification. And that is why the word diversification here repeated in Delta State is very appropriate and timely. The resulting push by companies and governments to reduce exposure to geopolitical and other risks by deconcentrating supply chains is an opportunity for what we at the WTO are calling re-globalization, making global value chains more resilient to shocks by attracting more investment to places like Nigeria and to Delta State that have been on the margins of the global distribution of labor. Alongside the potential for re-globalization are a related set of opportunities on the continent that it has created for itself. The African Continental Free Trade Area, with its prospect for a 1.4 billion person strong unified market, common standards, and joined up infrastructure, makes the continent a more attractive investment destination, both for companies targeting African markets and for those seeking to make Africa a base for exporting to the rest of the world. Seizing these two sets of opportunities, the desire for diversification and deconcentration of global supply chains, and the desire to seize the opportunity of the African Continental Trade Area is what we are talking about. It's at the heart of what I think Delta State should be thinking about in its growth and development strategy. Somebody said, think beyond Nigeria, think outside, and that's what we are also trying to say. I'm convinced that Delta State has the ingredients to become Nigeria's next great industrial hub. That's what I wish for it as a daughter of Delta. Standing alongside Lagos, Kano, and Port Harcourt as an engine of the national economy. The emergence of a new growth pole here in Delta State would be good for Nigeria as a whole. It would help decongest some of our economic hubs like Lagos and Kano that are becoming overcrowded. Lagos alone accounts for around a quarter of Nigeria's GDP and half of its non-oil GDP. Consider Delta's natural, infrastructural, and human endowments. We've heard about them. Abundant natural gas, a coastline with seaports at Warri, Sapele, Burutu, and Escravos, the Itape Ajiokuta Warri rail line, the fertile land of Delta State, solid minerals, 49 tertiary institutions producing young people who want opportunities in the state where they grew up. On the financial front, the state also has some fiscal space. Budget's 2025 State of States report ranks Delta 6th of 35 states in overall fiscal performance and second in debt sustainability. I was very happy about that. And when I heard one of the speakers say, you're not going to borrow from anyone dead or alive, I was smiling. Keep the fiscal prudence, because without it, you're not going to be able to build the Delta State we want. If you have to deploy resources, you have to deploy them in a manner that makes the state productive, not wasted. The 2026 proposed budget of 1.664 trillion naira prioritizes increased capital expenditures as part of the efforts to move Delta onto a higher growth path. A stable macroeconomic environment at the federal level on exchange rate management, bringing down inflationary pressures, would improve states' prospects for success. And we have heard the Minister of Finance and the Central Bank Governor, I was with him a few days ago, talk about the progress that is being made, and that's moving in the right direction. But the fact is that endowments alone do not add value. Budgetary allocations alone do not lead to new roads, to good maintenance. We lack a maintenance culture in the country. I have to say that I'm Nigerian, and I was telling Engineer Austin Aburu, thanking him for mentioning maintenance. We need that. We need better ports and digital infrastructure and lower trade costs. Execution is what matters. And successful execution requires focus. It requires prioritization. So let me touch on a few priority areas for focused investment. We've listened to Delta State, and the one or two things I have to say seem to coincide. The Delta State's government focus on developing the special economic zones makes sense. In fact, a new report by the World Bank on industrial policy specifically identifies special economic zones as one of the best available tools for governments with limited fiscal space and bandwidth and relatively small local markets. Governments can improve infrastructure and regulatory frameworks for a specific location, which in turn allows for the pooling of labor, inputs, and ideas. With Delta State's gas assets that we've heard about, and working with the federal government, this is key, working with the federal government, you have an important ingredient for the essential infrastructure. Because elements of a successful industrial park include 24/7 infrastructure, meaning electricity, roads, rail, water, and IT connectivity, together with on-site support for licensing and other aspects of regulatory compliance, you need the federal government's full support for what you're doing. I've not had the chance to visit the Delta Special Economic Zones in Kwale and Koko, but I know they have been under consideration for years, and we saw in the movie that something is happening. But I also would encourage you to visit a couple of other special economic zones around us. I visited the Lekki Free Zone just 2 days ago, and the deep sea port. And what is happening there, it started while I was Minister of Finance, and what is happening there is worth seeing. Phase by phase, they're working and they're developing the area. There are 5,000 people employed there now. I also think that the Glojibe Special Economic Zone in the Republic of Benin is well worth a visit. I was there, and what struck me was the large number of young men and women, graduates and people coming out of secondary school who were employed in the various industries on site. It runs, the park runs like clockwork, meaning everything works, everything is on site. They don't need to go anywhere to do anything. And that is the kind of special economic zone that we would like to see. I don't know if Afrexim Bank is here, or Arise, some of the investors there. but I think that what I saw them doing there is good testimony to what can be done elsewhere and done here, right here in Delta State. In tandem with the development of the Special Economic Zone, another priority would be to identify a small number of value chains. Again, it was said at the beginning, areas where you have strong comparative advantage, and they are there. We've talked about agro-allied processing, but there you have listed a number of crops. Which 2 or 3 are you going to prioritize? That's my question to you. Because if we go into so many, we dissipate the amount of capital and resources we have. So I would ask you to focus on 2 or 3 that are likely to do well. And you've mentioned several of them. It's not only about the 2 or 3, but we have to go all the way from the production all the way up the value chain, ensuring standards, quality, access to finance, access to markets. This is what trade is about. It doesn't start just when you have the product. It starts even when you start to produce the product. So I strongly encourage you to identify 1 or 2, 3 crops, no more, focus on those and take those along the value chain. Second, the blue economy. Delta's coastline and rivers have been mentioned. They have the potential to support aquaculture parks, fish landing sites, jetties, and cold rooms. Nigeria imports on average 573,388 metric tons of fish and fish products worth 866 million, almost $1 billion a year. We import that. Can Delta State become the blue economy hub to capture that market, meet the demand? Imagine if we could import substitute for the $1 billion, almost $1 billion we are spending in importing fish into the country. And if I can say something blunt here, building a blue economy is not about letting trawlers come in and fish off your coast. That's not what I'm talking about. Actually, at the World Trade Organization, we have a new agreement that talks about how to reduce this phenomenon, because our coasts are fished with these trawlers, robbing the small fishermen and women of access to fisheries. So that's not what I'm talking about. We have a grant now with the Nigerian government to assess our fisheries management capacity, and I hope that Delta State can become part of that. It's being managed by the Nigerian Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research, along, of course, with the Ministry of Industry, Trade, and Investment. So please find out about it and see if we can make you part of the assessment for the potential for your marine fisheries. In addition to the fisheries, the state's seaports, export terminals, and commercial centers provide a base for port services, ship repair, and marine logistics. The question is, what investment is needed in these ports or marine services to enable Delta State to take better advantage of this natural endowment? So this is the kind of development that would make for very good jobs for our young people. Turn Delta State into a marine logistics hub. So that's the other request I have for you. Turn it into a marine logistics and ship repair hub. And finally, the third area is in oil and gas. Yes, we've spoken about this. That's what the state is known for. But we've heard, even in the oil and gas, we've got work to do. We've got to improve pipeline connectivity. You have to work with the federal government to get gas to these other areas. If you make the special economic zones, the gas has to be piped there so it can actually work. You have people who want to generate power for the state, but if they don't get the gas, they will not be able to do that. You want to develop a solid minerals industry, and you've got what it takes in silica, kaolin, and other things, but they all need the gas to be properly piped to where it's needed. And finally, on digital infrastructure and AI. We haven't spoken much about that. But this is where the world is going. The world trade itself is going digital. So in all the developments you do here, I want to strongly encourage you that connectivity to take advantage of the digital economy is essential. I would like you to also see how that can be prioritized. Our young people are all on the internet. Our women are trading digitally, but they need the connectivity to make all of this work. So ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, I've sketched out the opportunities awaiting Delta State, and they're rather exciting. What you have to decide now is how to deploy your capital. You've spoken about it, Your Excellency, but I think there's still work to be done in terms of prioritizing what you want to do. But I'm optimistic. I'm a Delta State optimist. I'm also a Nigeria optimist. We have the confluence of three windows of opportunity: the global push for supply diversification, the African continental integration, and within Nigeria, the recognition that economic transformation will not come from Abuja alone. The Minister of Finance talked about that. That sub-national governments will have to step up, as you are doing, Excellency, to create jobs, attract investment, and provide public goods. The prize-winning Delta author Ben Okri famously wrote, and I quote, "Don't neglect the gold in your own backyard," unquote. The true wealth of Delta State has never just been our oil and gas, it's our people. This summit is about taking care of the gold in our backyard, of starting the years of hard work needed to deliver on our people's hopes and aspirations for better lives, on demonstrating that Delta can and will compete for investment and become the industrial hub for Nigeria that I want it to be. Delta can and will transform itself from a resource-rich state to a diversified, inclusive, and resilient sub-national economy. Excellency, dear Governor, Mr. Vice President, my fellow Deltans, I just want to wish all of us perseverance and success. Thank you.
We should be rising to our feet to salute this titan of the economy and development, not only Nigeria. And please, whilst you're standing, can you bring the roof down with your applause for this diminutive yet powerful African representation? Thank you very much. Our own sister, two-time minister. You know, when you hear Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala speak, you wonder whether it's the same person who authored the book titled Reforming the Unreformable. And that was her opinion about Nigeria and her journey through the years of trying to pioneer and champion reforms in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the story has been made clear. I only wish she'll be here tomorrow when the sessions and the panel start to shed more light on the very succinct message she has delivered to us. I'm glad that our governor listened with rapt attention, and I'm sure that the message that you have left with us will not go unheralded. Thank you very much, ma'am. In the meantime, your pen has just dropped there, ma'am. So, that is a World Trade Organization biro. So we keep moving on. There is so much to do, too many people wanting to be recognized, as indeed we should. And now, I don't know where I have put the papers, but as I find them, we shall do them. The Director General of the Braced Commission, Ambassador Joe Keshi, is here. We want to salute Dr. Ebiere Jasper Eradiri, President, AIC Africa, the Association for SMEs, is also here. I have Executive Director, Business Development, Nexim Bank, Honorable Stella Okotete here, our own daughter as well. Thank you all for being here. We will now take another message from a man whose role here is to ignite our minds and set the intellectual tone. Well, he's not setting it anymore, that's past. That tone has been more than set. He will join it and fine-tune it, because we want to welcome this African legal luminary, a passionate Pan-Africanist, and our distinguished, eloquent guest speaker. We know his name, but he's a man who's known for telling us that Africa is moving in reverse gear and that we have remained beggars at foreign tables. The same speaker has told us that Africa is guilty of operating with inherited foreign institutions. He tells us that Africa's worst enemies are within, referring to our collaborators. But most of all, the most provocative one is where he tells us that there is no shortage of idiots in Africa. Professor Patrick Lumumba, I want to tell you there is no idiots in Delta State. Welcome to the microphone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me stand on the protocols already established, but it would be proper to recognize His Excellency the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima. It is also proper to recognize the Governor of Delta State, all the governors here present, all cabinet ministers here present, and of course the traditional rulers and the keynote speaker, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. In a proper setting, there should be no other speech after the keynote speech. But because I find myself in this space, I will say only the following things, then I resume my seat. Number one, that I thought about the subject that I was told to speak about, and I've written a full-blooded paper which will be availed to you. Number two, that in many ways the speakers who have come before me have identified the critical issues that are relevant to the development of the Delta State. However, it is important to point out a number of issues that I consider critical when I look at the continent of Africa and our inclination to gloss over certain critical things. Many times when we talk about Africa, and I say so because Delta State is a state within the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is one of the 54 African states. We are quick to say that we are 1.4 billion. That is all very well. But the question that we must ask ourselves is, what are we doing about the 1.4 billion? As I speak to you now, I invite you to see what is happening in Morocco and the young men and women who are running away and dying trying to go to Europe, which tells us this: there is a lot to be done in the continent. And that is what gladdens my heart, that in your own small way here in Delta, recognizing as you do that Nigeria must be built state by state, you are beginning to recognize the areas that ought to receive attention. You are recognizing that oil must be utilized, and you, Mr. Governor, did tell us that you are aware of what the Norwegians have done, that they now have a sovereign fund of nearly 3 billion or 3 trillion United States dollars. The question that you must therefore ask yourself, will you do that here in the Delta State? We have been told that when we talk about oil in Nigeria, you are the oil state in Nigeria. The question is, are you using the oil resources and comparing yourselves not with other African countries? It is the Ugandan president who said, and I've always agreed with him, that there is the tendency in Africa to compare ourselves as dwarfs compare amongst themselves who is the taller one. Because at the end of the day, they are all dwarfs, even if one is an inch taller than the other. I want you in Delta to compare yourselves with others. Your own country or your own state has an economy larger than over 20 African countries, a GDP larger than 20 African states. The question is, with all the resources that we have, whether we are talking about agriculture, whether we are talking about minerals, whether we are talking about oil, whether we are talking about pharmaceutical sectors, whether we are talking about the blue economy, what are we doing that is in keeping with the demands of the 21st century? The world now talks about the 4th and 5th industrial revolution. The world now talks about artificial intelligence. But I always ask my fellow Africans who are quick to talk about artificial intelligence, who controls the artificial intelligence that we consume in the continent of Africa? It is not us. It could be withdrawn in the twinkling of an eye, and we go back to the dark ages. So the question is, as you are here in Delta, having identified the critical areas and the strengths that you have as a people, what will we do? The keynote speaker has reminded us of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And you know, when I look at the Continental Free Trade Area, and I look at the many writings about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, it is not Africans who are writing. It is others. It is the Chinese. It is the Europeans. So that if you wanted an expert on Africa Continental Free Trade Area, you don't look to Africa. And that is tragic, Honorable Governor. It is equally tragic that in our interpretation and understanding of who an investor is in the continent of Africa, we still don't think that fellow Africans are investors. We think, and allow me to be blunt, that our investors must be Malaysians. We think that our investors must be Brazilians. We think that our investors must be Chinese. That is not the case. And I'm saying this because in the year 2018, I and others started something called the Pan-African Investment Movement. We have now visited 6 countries, and we have told heads of state that even Africans with $100,000 each, $100,000 each, putting the money together, are investors. When a few Africans heard I was coming here from as far as Trinidad and Tobago, they asked me, but why were we not invited? I said, next time. Because next time, Honorable Governor, I want to see Kenyans here. I want to see Ghanaians here. I want to see Sudanese here. I want to see Ethiopians here. I want to see Moroccans here. I want to see Egyptians here, because Africans must begin to believe that they have both the intellectual and financial wherewithal to participate in the development of their continent. because it is only when we do so that our friends of goodwill from Brazil, our friends of goodwill from China, our friends of goodwill from Europe, our friends of goodwill from the United States of America will begin to believe that the relationship between us and them is symbiotic rather than parasitic. And I'm submitting to us that many times what we call development is not development, is parasitism. And I am urging you, my brother, as you serve as the governor of Delta, you are doing a good job, but that job can be better. That job can be an African job. That job can give meaning to Africa Continental Free Trade Area. That job can have meaning to Africa Agenda 2063, but a number of critical issues must also be done by the Nigerian federal government. We must allow people to move freely within the continent. Your Excellency, the Vice President, Nigeria is the biggest economy in real terms in sub-Saharan Africa. I look forward to the day when, if I'm an investor in Delta, I want to invest in the blue economy, I want to invest in any area, I can take my plane from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia and arrive here in Asaba without a landing and exit card. I look forward to that day. I look forward to the day when there will be no visa for an African coming to this country. Because when you are big, the expectations from you are big. When we talk about Europe now, it is possible to move from Bratislava in Slovakia to Lisbon in Portugal using one currency. But here I move from Nigeria, then there is the CD. Then I move from there, then there is the dollar. We cannot run an economy where we are so fragmented. And God has placed you, because I'm told you are a godly man, in a unique position. You are entitled to celebrate what is happening here in Delta. But it must be a contagious positive thing. You must contaminate Anambra that they do the same thing. You must contaminate other neighbors, and ultimately you must contaminate the federal government. And it is proper that you invited His Excellency the Vice President so that this message will go to Abuja, and that your example will be used as an example that will be replicated across the Federal Republic of Nigeria and ultimately across the continent of Africa. You know, Your Excellency, as I said at the beginning, when the keynote speaker spoken, wisdom only demands one thing, that I conclude. And this is how I conclude. I conclude by congratulating the government of Delta. I congratulate the government of Delta by recognizing that they have strengths. But I'm urging you going forward, ask yourself, how are you using your young population who are graduating from the universities? What skills are they receiving? I'm asking, how are you using your academics from the universities? What is the budget that you have set apart for research and development so that your academics are not only individuals who preside over graduation ceremonies, but they are producing thoughts and they are engaged in research which is informing agriculture, which is informing energy, which is informing all the critical areas. And as my good friend Tony Elumelu said, you can talk development all you want, but if you don't have energy, you are going nowhere. You are going nowhere, because how are you going to compete with the Chinese? Let me give you an example, then I sit down. Nigeria generates no more than 5,000 megawatts of electricity. You lose a bit of it in distribution. China generates 3 million megawatts of electricity, which means that the seats we are sitting on, even if you wanted to produce them here in the Delta, people would still buy them from China because they are cheaper. I'm therefore suggesting that energy should be one of the critical areas in which you focus. And we now know that gas can be used in that area. We now know that diesel can be used in that area. And this is a good journey. And as one of your fellow Nigerians once said, and this is not gender insensitive, that a chick that will grow into a cock is seen on the day that it hatches. Even a hen that will grow into a chick that will grow into a hen is seen on the day it hatches. Delta looks good. Make it good. Allow it to remain good. Think beyond yourself in the knowledge that you are not successful until your successor succeeds. God bless.
Where is the music? Where is the music? Okay. As our people they talk for pidgin English, they go say Professor Lumumba don't scatter table. Everyone don't scatter everywhere. But you know, Professor, we thank you very much. You have told us a few things, and clearly in your delivery you've made it very clear that you're a very wise man. Because even as you spoke about all of the African countries that you'd like to see in Delta, you cleverly avoided South Africa. I don't know why. I don't know why, but we shall take you up on that after now. Yeah? And you have come here to preach the gospel of contamination. You look at our handsome, active governor, you call him a parasite. He should go and contaminate Anambra, the solutions governor. In fact, before he gets to Governor Soludo, he has to cross the vice president and corrupt him or the other, or contaminate him. But anyway, your message is clear. You have asked our governor to keep Delta good, keep it moving forward. But I'll say, paraphrasing from the keynote speaker's address, that all you're saying is I think our governor has to consider a new campaign, which is Blue Delta, in support of the blue marine that we're trying to push forward. And I know that our governor, the young elder, Sheriff Oborewori, Justice of the Peace, before long, you will see that he will launch the Blue Delta initiative. And Delta will become the undisputable food basket, not only of the Niger Delta, but for all of Africa. That $1 billion deficit in importation of fish alone, this governor is hungry and ready to take on that $1 billion. In anticipation of the good that the governor will do, we ask you to encourage him with a hearty applause. Let me quickly salute those who would support our governor by saying that we have here Mr. Frank Okafor, my own brother, Senior Project Manager, Green and Digital Economy of the European Union Delegation to Nigeria and the ECOWAS. He's representing the European Union Ambassador, Mr. Gauthier Mignon, to this summit. Mr. Frank Okafor, we welcome you heartily. Thank you very much for being here. There's a whole array of banks here. I think they'll be more comfortable. I see Madam Adora looking at me. Yes, I will come to you. GMD Zenith Bank Dame Adora Omeoji, you're here. Thank you very much for being here. Mr. Pastor Ima Efe Emefienim is GMD Premium Trust. MD Tantita High Chief Kestin Pondi is here. GMD UBA Oliver Alauba is here. We also have Uju Ifejika, MD Britannia U, and so many others here. We also have the President and Chief Executive Officer, Transcorp PLC, Owen Omogiafo, OON. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for us to invite the Vice President, but before we do that, let me remind us, because once the Vice President speaks and the anthem goes, we'll be proceeding to inspect the exhibition booths, so there might be no time to do this. Oh, sorry, yes, sorry, error. I've been told that the Governor of Anambra will speak now before His Excellency, the Vice President. My error. But just before that, for tomorrow, please note that there will be 5 sessions, so you can quickly determine which of the sessions you want to participate in. Agriculture, agribusiness and livestock, the blue economy and transport infrastructure, solid minerals and mining, digital economy, energy, ecosystem, power, oil and gas, and that's your lineup for tomorrow. We'll be starting here in this hall at 9:25 a.m. Please come early because we will not wait for you. And so the man who was an accomplished governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, who is now the solutions provider for Anambra State, who's ready to partner with Delta because development has to be partnership defined, Governor Charles Soludo, to the microphone. You're welcome. Please, a round of applause for His Excellency the Governor.
Thank you. It's quite a shock, Your Excellency. I thought this was going to be one free lunch I'm going to have. Just come, listen to the Vice President, listen to you, listen to our keynote speaker, my senior sister, writing notes, ministers, and then I'll simply go home to Professor Lumumba and go home. And I was just standing up even to usher the Vice President, and I said, I have to. Let me say, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President, first, 1, 2, 3 things. I'm asked to give a goodwill message. Your Excellency, I bring you good tidings from Anambra State, the light of the nation. I'm sorry I came in about 15 minutes late because I was stuck in traffic at Onitsha. Today is a Monday. And to have a traffic at Onitsha on a Monday, the Monday sit at home is over. And I am here in solidarity with you, in solidarity with my rich neighbor, Delta State. You are the governor, a friend in whom I am well pleased. Any day, anytime. I had to move my executive council meeting today. We'll move it probably tomorrow or next. But this is very important, and I am very, very delighted to be here. I've listened to all the speeches. I'm not supposed to be saying anything. Like I said, I wasn't prepared to say a word. But just 2 quick footnotes to what I have heard. Number 1 is listening to the Honorable Minister of Finance and listening to our keynote speaker. One key message that was given is that from a macroeconomic standpoint, Nigeria has stabilized and on the rise. And that leads me to a point that you made, Mr. Governor. You and I are on the same page. I haven't borrowed a dime since I became governor. But I will hesitate to make the other one that you added, which is that you will never. Because if you look at what you just said, I mean the title of this conference, Unlocking the Opportunities. Nigeria has a paradox, which this macroeconomic stability that has been achieved is something to celebrate, because we have to realize where we are coming from. When I became governor, I pulled Anambra State out of an ongoing World Bank loan, NG Cares. And Anambra was the only state that pulled out. Why? Because the macro fundamentals, the foreign exchange, the exchange rate distortions were such that I told the World Bank that even at zero interest, it was still the most expensive fund in the world, given what I knew was going to be inevitable, an exchange rate realignment much later. If you were giving me money and I change it at 460 naira to the dollar today, when I know that tomorrow it will be over 1,000, even if you lend it to me at zero, the effective interest rate in it is over 100%. And so that's why Anambra pulled out. Today, that has changed. And therefore, breaking the paradoxes of Nigerian economy, we are a capital scarce economy, but which prior to 2023 was having a massive capital flight. Double jeopardy. You have capital scarcity, but also losing capital in droves. Today is one reversed. You now have net foreign exchange reserves of about a little over 40 billion and gross reserves of about $52 billion, rising from 3 billion as at 2023. Rising from 3 billion as at 2023. So, and the exchange rate has become stable, more stable, predictable to a large extent, and therefore, Delta and Nigerian economy and subnationals will require foreign capital. Be they Africa, be they from anywhere, will require foreign capital. And the environment, the macroeconomic environment is more conducive today. So I wouldn't make that kind of strong, I wouldn't maybe Delta, or you are my rich neighbor, you have a lot of oil money and so on. So you can, Delta can afford it. I'm not sure how many others can afford to do that. The second, and just following from what I have also heard, is that we need to work together. Delta is one of the 36 subnational states, plus FCT, plus the federal government, that's 38 governments, excluding the 774 local governments. We need to work together. Delta alone will try, but together, harnessing the neighborhoods. And I suggest that Delta and Anambra are literally like the relationship with the completion of the second Niger bridge. It's like twin cities. You now have us here, I mean, between New York and New Jersey, for example. We must now, as two states, cascade our relationship beyond our personal friendships to now working group. Because I can see in a whole lot of areas where Anambra could also piggyback on what is going on in Delta, and where Delta could piggyback on what is going on here. You have an economic free trade thing. We are building a new commercial industrial city powered by an aerotropolis. We have quite a lot in common, and we better synergize. And just on that, I'm happy it's been said by the chairman of this forum, this summit, that this is not just going to be another talk shop. I like what is going to follow after the Vice President's speech, and that is the area of networking, deals. So that it's not just another, we talk and talk. I have had 2 investment summits, but those deals are the real thing. And at the end of the day, let's keep it simple. Let's make investment a habit and not an event. Let it go from being just an event we gather once in a while. And I give you one practical example. A missing area that I'm sure the president, working with the governors under the National Economic Council, with the leadership of our able vice president, will have to work, probably post-election, on a national consolidated Marshall Plan that will then drill down the macroeconomic changes down to now improving the other opportunities of employment, poverty reduction, getting it down, drilling it down to the ordinary person. But let me leave you with one thought. We cannot create the kind of jobs that we want with all of us patronizing foreign or imported goods. I look in this room and I see the suits from Europe, from America, from China. I see all, and that's Professor Lumumba here. I agree with you. We've got to make it Africa. I can speak here on this issue that you raised till evening. But take one thing. I admire what my sister is wearing. If you look at me too, I am wearing akwete. Akwete is the name of a village in Abia. My daughter introduced me to it in 2019, and I have made it my daily uniform. And I understand the women of Akwete, their income has gone up, employment increased, and 2 or 3 weeks ago, the First Lady announced a donation of 2 billion to the place for them to scale it up, and even promised she was going to now wear it at the inauguration. If all of us, 247 million Nigerians, were only made in Nigeria, more than 10 million jobs will be created. I leave you to this, and I wish, therefore, that maybe in the next summit, Delta Summit or anywhere, we'll make it a rule. If you don't wear made in Nigeria, don't come. And that way, we can now walk the talk. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, we appreciate you. His Excellency, the Governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, every great gathering builds towards a defining moment. We have had conversations that inspire. We have had ideas that illuminate today, and the partnerships that create possibilities. But it is decisive leadership that transforms vision into reality. Today we arrive at that defining moment. The presence of our Chief Guest of Honor reflects federal government's commitment to strengthen economic growth, promoting investment, and advancing sustainable development. It is now my singular honor and privilege to welcome here the most hardworking, the most supportive, the most loyal Vice President in the history of Nigeria, Please welcome His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON.
Kindly sit down, please. Kindly take your seats, please. The chief host, my brother, the governor of Delta State, His Excellency, Right Honorable Elder Sheriff Francis Oborewori. Your Excellency, I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of your humility and most importantly, your commitment to a greater Delta. You are a good man. You have internalized the Christian faith. You are not just an elder. You are a real man of God. He has always been a gadfly, always moving against the direction of the wind. But Professor Charles Chukuma Soludo Sebar is a man that I respect highly, fundamentally because the truth that says men free, as H.S. Aga said, is most often the truth that men prepare not to hear. But Professor Soludo has the tendency of going against the direction of the wind. In 2023 elections, he went against the direction of the wind by telling Nigeria that the road to the presidential villa doesn't pass through intimidation, blackmail, or harassment. The route to the presidential villa leads through building grassroots support, inclusivity, and broad-mindedness. Professor Soludo, you have done a lot of things for the federal government, especially in informing Nigerians where we are coming from reserves of $3 billion. When we were experiencing capital plight and capital scarcity, now we are experiencing capital inflows, so that our foreign reserves has gone up to over $52 billion and counting in a turbulent world, mind you. I think the president deserves commendation and not condemnation. I remember time back when it used to be unheard of for the girl child to be highly schooled. But take a good look at this great woman seated here with us. Is there anyone here who is not proud of her exploits globally? Dr. Ngozi Okonjo, we are proud of you. We cherish and adore you. Thank you for all you do and contribute to the world. Above all, thank you for representing Nigeria with not just your intellectual brand, but indeed also your dress sense. The famous Okonjo headgear needs to be patented around the world. Thank you, ma'am. And to our great guest speaker, Professor Patrick Otiono Lumumba. You are not a Kenyan, you are an African, a great African. Lawyer and internationally recognized public speaker. With the way and manner you are traversing the continent, I'm thinking of being your student when I retire from politics. Thank you, Professor Lumumba, for the great African that you have become. But you carefully avoided talking about South Africa. The chairman of the summit, Mr. Seplat, Engineer Osin Aburo, my bosses in the National Assembly, members of the Senate and House of Representatives, my colleagues in the Federal Executive Council, former governor of Delta State, and elder statesman in his own right, distinguished Senator Dr. Ipianyi Okowa. You are a good man, supporting our governor in delivering the dividends of democracy to our people. Of course, the humble and self-effacing Deputy Governor of Delta State, Samonde Oyema. I don't know whether I will call you a Hausa man or an Adioma man. The former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mohammed Bello Adoke, SAN. I want to recognize the Secretary to the Delta State Government, Dr. Kingsley Eze Elmo, to recognize and appreciate members of the Delta State Executive Council and local government chairmen across Delta State. The Brazilian ambassador to Nigeria, His Excellency Mr. Carlos Gacete, and the Malaysian ambassador to Nigeria as well. Captains of industry, I cannot fail to recognize my boss, Mr. Tony Elumelu, and of course, my sister from another mother, the Group Managing Director of Zenith Bank, Dame Adora Umioje. And Mr. Oliba Lauba, I want to use you to thank other bank executives around. Chairman of the Delta Traditional Rulers Council, Major General Felix Mujakpero, Oriyewan Oroje of Okpe Kingdom, I want to use you to recognize and appreciate all our royal fathers present here. Members of the fourth escort of the Rim, honored guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The cycle of competition among our states is now evident in the quality and ambition of the investment summits combined across the Federation. Every state possesses immense promise, but each must define a trajectory unique to its history, geography, people, and comparative advantage. This is a race we must welcome, a race that proclaims growth rather than conflict, a race in which the prize is employment, prosperity, and human dignity, a race for the future. I am therefore honored to join the government and people of Delta State in this march towards that future. Since we assumed the mantle of leadership, we have scarcely taken a break from summits, strategy sessions, and investment dialogues. We promise to place Nigeria on the path of growth, and each gathering offers another platform for turning that promise into enterprise. Every host state contributes to the Federation's commercial ambition. One highlights agriculture, another minerals, technology, ports, energy, or tourism. In that healthy rivalry, Nigeria discovers the full measure of her wealth. This season of summits owes itself to two developments. The first is the stronger foundation laid by the economic research of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, which has placed far larger allocations in the hands of state governments to pursue their internal development agendas. The second is that no state wishes to be trapped in the dilemma of having money but not knowing how to spend it. For rescuing us from that dilemma, I believe Mr. President deserves a round of applause. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the judgments of the international ratings agencies confirm the direction of travel. Pitch upgraded Nigeria to B in April 2025 and affirm it in April 2026, citing foreign exchange reform, monetary discipline, and the end of deficit financing, amongst others. In May 2026, S&P also raised Nigeria to B, its first upgrade in 14 years, following a sustained reform, stronger oil output, and expanded domestic refining. Moody's had earlier lifted Nigeria from CAA1 to B3 as the external balance, fiscal position, and foreign exchange framework improved. These are proof that Nigeria is regaining credibility, and the best time to invest is before the opportunity becomes expensive. Delta State enters this moment with an advantage. That advantage is larger than its oil wealth. It resides in the conviction behind this gathering that the future of a people cannot be deposited in a single commodity. Diversification is an instinct of economic self-preservation and a measure of the quality of leadership. A government that prepares for life beyond oil understands that resources may finance progress, but only ideas. institutions, and enterprise can sustain it. Consider what the state holds. Delta sits on one of the longest coastlines in our federation, with the ports of Wari, Koko, Burutu, and Sapele, and creeks and rivers that make the blue economy something Deltans can touch. It holds gas in abundance, 80 trillion meters, along with power generation at Okpa and Weli, refining assets at Wari, and an economic zone built to turn these environments into factories rather than statistics. Beyond hydrocarbons, Delta is a farming country. Oil palm, cassava, rubber, plantain and aquaculture thrive across its 25 councils, and its fisheries could feed markets far beyond our borders. Beneath its soil lies silica, sand, kaolin, limestone, and of course, coal, the raw material for glass, cement, and construction. Above all, the Delta person is educated and enterprising. A state so endowed already qualifies as an investment destination of the first order, and what remains is for the world to be told. This is the purpose of this grand occasion. The call to harness our strengths and unlock our potentials is a timely awakening, because potential has no economic value unless it is organized, financed, and put to work. Natural wealth buried beneath the soil cannot employ a young person. A coastline without productive infrastructure cannot move trade. Talent without opportunity becomes frustration. The task before us is to combine what Delta possesses into what its people can feel in their own homes, their communities, and their hopes. There is no doubt that His Excellency Governor Sheriff Francis Oborowori is devoted to leading Delta into a new era of productive expansion. The design of this summit reflects the seriousness of that purpose. It brings government, investors, development institutions, industry leaders, scholars, and entrepreneurs into the same room, followed by sectoral discussions, deal-making, networking, and field engagements. The message is practical. Delta seeks commitments that survive the applause and projects that outlive the conference. I thank His Excellency Governor Oborowori for this bold leap towards a greater Delta and for creating a platform that matches the ambition of his people. To our investors, entrepreneurs, financiers, captains of industry, innovators, development partners, the diplomatic community, and friends of Nigeria, you are welcome to Delta State. The federal government stands ready to support credible investments, strengthen enabling institutions, and work with the state to remove obstacles to enterprise. We are co-travelers on the road from promise to production, from allocation to transformation, and from potential to prosperity. Thank you, and may God bless Delta State and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Hello. Your Excellency, the Vice President, sir, would like to plead with you to remain on stage whilst they remove, because we want to invite the governor and some dignitaries to join you for a nice photo session. Thank you so much for accepting. So please, unless I call you, don't come up. Ambassador, yes you can. Governor Soludo, Governor Delta, Okonjo, Professor Lumumba, and Minister of Finance. Please, it ends there. Please, it ends there. Let's put some structure to this, please. Organize it, organize it. Let them know where to stand. This. Okay, where are the photographers, please? Can we allow a few? Where's the official photographer? Oh, you're there. Take your pictures. Get everybody to smile. It's a happy day. Delta is moving forward. And are you okay? You're fine? Okay. So now we take the national anthem with you remaining, and after that we'll go on to inspect the exhibition booth. The national anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians home and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland.
Thank you very much. Please note, yes, whilst all of those with VIP tags would have lunch served in the canopy outside here, the rest of us should sit down and be ready to receive your food packs. Please, let's keep this in good order. Okay, so we can sit and wait to receive our food packs, and we thank you all for being here. We salute our royal fathers. We salute the Asaba of Asaba and all of the other royal fathers here for their presence at this summit. Thank you all very much.